Hartenstein. New York Knicks, or excuse me, former New York Knicks center, now Oklahoma City Thunder center, Isaiah Hartenstein has a fractured hand that he suffered in a preseason game against the Denver Nuggets. He's going to miss at least 5 to 6 weeks. Wes, my thought on this initially is pretty simple. I think long term, this does not change my opinion of the Thunder. This does not make me any less optimistic in the big picture about what OKC could be this year. I still would think, based on what they were last year before even adding him, and considering they're still going to have Caruso in the fold now and whatnot, I still think this team's going to be awesome from the get-go. I don't have any reason to doubt that. What I don't like about it for them, when I feel they're losing here, is that opportunity to have the first month of the season be a build-up to get Isaiah Hartenstein acclimated and hit the ground running. Ultimately, you'd rather have this happen now than in February or later in the season. But I do think early in the season, for the teams that are playing the long game, that are chasing a title, this does matter in the sense that you are going to build that connectivity, figure out what works, what doesn't with him, get everyone acclimated together early in the season so you can hit the ground running later. This just delays what I think is probably inevitable. But this does hurt the Thunder in terms of them building up to something bigger down the road.
I don't know. I think it hurts people who bet on the Thunder to win the NBA Cup the most.
Losers, gamblers. Yeah, losers are the gamblers.
Like, if you bet on the Thunder to win the NBA Cup, that just took a shot. And maybe if you even took the over, like you and I did on the Thunder, maybe that gets a little bit flimsier now. But fortunately for the Thunder, their first couple of months of the season here they have one of the easier schedules in the league in these first couple of months. So whatever that means, it means. But this to me is more of a bummer than it is a big deal, because I think everybody was excited to see Isaiah Hartenstein playing center alongside Chet Holmgren, all the looks that the Thunder can get to, all the different lineups that they can experiment with, and just seeing how dominant this team could be that basically had one weakness or maybe two weaknesses last year, right? In teams not guarding Josh Giddey and the fact that they couldn't rebound the ball at all. And by adding Isaiah Hartenstein and then obviously Alex Caruso, they solved those problems. But in terms of rim protection, I'm not that worried, right? They still have Chet Holmgren. He's still there. They've got big Jalen Williams available. He hasn't played in the preseason yet, but I don't think it's going to be a regular season issue. And another great way to counter a lack of rim protection, which, again, the Thunder don't because they have Chet Holmgren. But if they were to worry about that, they still have one of the best perimeter defensive lineups, if not the best perimeter defensive lineup in the NBA, between Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Aaron Wiggins, all the guys that they can roll out there. And so if they ever get a little worried about their rim protection, they could just not let anybody get to the rim. So it's more of, again, it's a bummer, and it's a longer injury than I think people anticipated. This is sort of like the opposite of the Paul George thing, where you're like, oh my God, and it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. So yeah, I'm disappointed, but I don't think this shakes my confidence in their championship viability at all. Yeah, to your point, in building up to something, instead of having 82 games to build up to sort of the Super Saiyan version of the Oklahoma City Thunder, they've got 60 games to do it, 65 games to do it, whatever it is. That's still going to be plenty of time.
Yeah, it's still plenty of time. It just delays like them hitting full throttle, and this could be me just overthinking this. I'm prone to overthink everything in my life, candidly. But I do wonder if, just like with how competitive the West is there I've been asking myself to just, my instinct is this is fine. It probably doesn't matter that much. But just in thinking through it and trying to kind of like challenge myself and my thoughts, I did wonder, like, 10% if the margins in the West this year are so competitive and thin, does like a little bit of lack of continuity built up the first 6 weeks, does that matter at all in the long run? Probably not, but especially considering how good I think that team will be. But it is just a thought that crossed my mind with this. And it is in his strong hand as well, which did worry me a little bit more than if this was his off hand. I'm less concerned, but he's a left-handed player, and this is a left-handed hand fracture.
It's a totally fair thought. Fortunately, Isaiah Hartenstein hasn't dealt with a ton of serious injuries, but you're right. I mean, a left-hand injury to a left-handed player cannot be ignored. All of that could make sense. And I think the other part of it, too, is, okay, well, you've already used a roster spot on Topic, who's not going to be playing this season. Now you've got Hartenstein out for 5, 6, 7 weeks, however long it is. So you're down to... what is it, 13 players on the roster now. One more injury, two more injuries, a rolled ankle here, and the guy's out for a week or two, and you start getting pretty close to like the 10 guys, 11 guys left. So the attrition is already starting for a team last year that basically dealt with zero injury problems, right? Even at Chet Holmgren play 82 games last year. Is he going to play 82 games in a season for the rest of his career? I don't know. You know what I mean? So not like considering he missed his whole real rookie season with an injury. So yes, for a team that was the beneficiary of some major injury luck last year, they're already dealing with two pretty decent injuries this year, and that's already very different. Also, on terms of the bummer front, not necessarily in terms of their long-term viability front, in terms of the bummer front, opening night for the Oklahoma City Thunder in Denver on TNT on Thursday night, and that was going to be a great game to see Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren doing the Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns thing against Jokic, and now we don't get to see that. And by the way, they're probably going to lose that game because Jokic kills Chet Holmgren.
Yeah, he is a monster, and there will be, I think, some overreaction takes coming out of that game would be my guess on any of the panels you might see. But
yeah, that's a great call, right? Like
Yeah.
I think you and I took the Thunder on one of our overlocks. We kind of have them at probably getting the number 1 seed again in the Western Conference, and if they lose this game against Denver, they're gonna be like, they're starting the season 0-1. Denver coming out with the win. They look good. Fifth starter, bench doesn't really matter, or whatever. So we'll see.
let's go to Isaiah